John, I didn't know that the streets climbed up into the sky. If that's a given, I must insist on tucking my knees in on the way up. And when it's your turn, I know that you'll snap your fingers with a rhythmic beat, just like the doo-wop boys did during their West Side Story knife fight. But do we take poems with us? Not the everyday Zen ones, but the ones that Ruggles shouted at the lifeguard, or the ones that Harding whispered to the ants on his private hill in Kansas City. I figure, John, that astral projections are useless and inadequate, especially when it's reality that becomes the one to undress us. And I don't expect for us to hear the foot kicking against the inside of the trunk, but we were built to be heroes. And I'm not talking about Steve McQueen or the Argonauts, but the kind of heroes that love women like thermonuclear war, the kind of heroes that stick roses between the teeth of death. And all of this chatter about the old midnight angel from Lowell and the angry postman from Los Angeles is growing stagnant. It's not that they're any less than miracles, but they no longer create new ones. Not to mention, I expect that most symbols grow tired of themselves, at least when the screaming mob sticks a finger inside of its pocket and pretends that it carries a big gun. I remember how we shouldered looks from rare girls with the laughter of a Berryman suicide all the way down to the ground, and out of nowhere, looking like a couple of overdrawn one-liners. But those ice-cold beers down on the corner of Prospero's were magnificent. Our faces like children pawing at ice cream, while those girls spoke tight denim languages with hair of sexual freedom. And I saw how you watched their asses pull the string. How alert the world had become back then. How that flick of the tongue against the front tooth created a spark. How one word of need behaved like a firecracker. Consider this for a moment, John. Human blood is not pale. It's bright, bright on the inside, bright when it falls out of us, bright when lightning hits it, and as bright as Wanberg's cherub laughter. We learned this in a Hartford biker bar, with old wooden tables that had trouble holding up our words, with its bartender of monk-like joy, with its pool table, where Lester Allen dropped Vicodin down his throat. I was bashful back then, hiding my baby face in the rings of a pint, spitting breakfast words to a dinner crowd. But you were there, sitting back in your full beard of massive sorrow, waiting for the birds to break the back of an everyday feeling. This is not to say that California will not ever fall off the map due to an earthquake. And this is not to say that floating in orbit creates a scandal. It's just to say that being is what it is, and anything else feels like a lie. We've become a world of sages without followers. We've become hearts without minds. And we've become skeletons without tendons. But you always knew that it takes a huge amount of sweat, elbow grease, and agony to get there. Besides, John, how good would greatness feel without failure first? And how could we even know what failure felt like if we didn't get up and try living in the first place?